Hi, Johanna. Welcome to the Leanpub launch video for successful independent consulting, relationships that focus on mutual benefit. I was wondering if you could take a few moments just to talk to us a little bit about yourself and about your book.
Well, thank you. I am delighted to do so. I either write books because I see a problem or because people have asked me a bunch of questions. And this particular book arose from a bunch of questions. And I almost always write books after I have delivered a workshop. And this time I did two. So I had two consulting cohorts. And the people who succeeded in their consulting after the cohort followed everything in this book. And the people who are still having trouble, because it's very hard to integrate content marketing with everything else. So, and content marketing is perfect for independent consultants. So that's why I wrote the book.
One question, a lot of Leanpub authors are themselves independent consultants, and a lot of them, many of them, they started out sort of as programmers and made the shift to being independent consultants. And one thing I always like to ask them is, how did you get your first client? And because that's the thing that often scares people the most, especially if they just sort of just dive in, right? And so I was wondering, for anyone who's thinking about your book or who's interested in learning more about this, what's the sort of if you had like 1 minute with someone to tell them what to do if they're thinking of getting started, how do you get your first client?
So start talking to every single person you know, whether it's a close connection, a loose connection. Actually, looser connections are probably better for getting your first client. But start in the A's, work yourself down to the Z's, and make it a point to contact at least 5 people every single day. I often contact through LinkedIn, but if you have a phone number for people, you can call them, explain that you're starting a consulting business, ask them about them, ask them how you might support their needs, and then say, "Oh, I'm starting an independent consulting business. If you know of anybody who needs anything like what I do, please let me know or let them know." And leave it as a very, very soft ask. But it's that outreach of talking to at least 5 people every single day that I don't think anybody likes. I certainly hated it.
And is that something that you still do now?
I don't tend to do that now because I have almost 30 years of content. So people tend to come to me. But with all the, we're recording this in May of 2023. And right now, the economy is, everybody is confused. What is the U.S. going to do? Well, we have a recession. Is there, right? Everybody is just kind of nutso. So I've been doing a whole lot more outreach personally, saying, I know that you had these kinds of challenges before. What was your solution and how was that worked out? And having a conversation, not pressuring people to hire me because I might not be right for whatever they need, but I'm curious, I'm interested, I want to keep my relationship with them so that we maintain this relationship that we've had over the years.
Just the last thing I wanted to ask you about was there's a part of your book where you talk about maintaining physical health, which is super interesting. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Oh, so before I started to low carb, I went to possibly a decade of travel, and my weight crept up a little bit at a time. And finally, over the years, I had gained 50 pounds. This is horrible. I'm only 5 feet tall. Well, I'm not even 5 feet anymore. So that's an enormous amount of weight. And if you look at a lot of consultants who travel a lot, it's really hard to maintain your weight. So I really I went low carb, which means I no longer eat dessert, which in reality, I probably could have just done without dessert, but no, I had to go a whole hog. So, and I don't actually care what people do, as long as they realize we need to exercise our physical bodies as much as our mental and emotional beings. And we need to figure out an eating plan that works for us. And part of maintaining our health is asking for support from our families. Because if we need to be on the rat race to always try and get more clients because we're not managing our money and our cash flow, that's really horrible. So physical health is a huge, huge thing. And all these other pieces of health play into it.
Believe it or not, I could talk about the whole stopping dessert and needing family help for that thing for a long time. But that's not what these videos are for. By the way, there is a much longer interview with Johanna that we have on our Front Matter podcast, which I'll point to in the video description. But anyway, thank you very much, Johanna. The book is Successful Independent Consulting. Anyone interested in it, please go buy it.
Thank you, Lynn.